Welcome to the Explainer. So, today we are diving headfirst into what is easily one of the most crucial and, let's be totally honest, jargon-heavy sections of the Florida real estate syllabus. Yep, we're talking about property rights. Let's figure out exactly what it takes to completely master this material.
If you take a close look at the candidate score report, you'll see a section titled Property Rights, Estates, Tenancies. And wow, it accounts for a solid 8% of the entire exam. That is 8 out of 100 questions. You know, candidates frequently fail the exam just a few points shy of that passing score of 75. And a huge reason why? They lose easily securable points right here in this section, just getting totally tangled up in all that dense legal vocabulary. But not us.
To capture those 8 points, here is our mental map for today. First, freehold versus leasehold estates. Second, freehold estates explained. Third, the 4 leasehold estates. Fourth, co-ownership and PIT. And finally, number 5, a rapid review matching quiz to lock it all in.
All right, Section 1, Freehold versus Leasehold Estates.
The real key to nailing this section, translation. Whenever the syllabus uses the term freehold estate, I want you to simply think ownership, and specifically ownership for an unpredictable amount of time. You just don't know when that ownership will actually end. On the flip side, leasehold estate just translates to renting for a limited, known amount of time. You're a tenant. You possess the property, sure, but you don't actually own it. So ownership versus renting. Keep that division crystal clear in your mind.
Moving right along to Section 2, Freehold Estates Explained. First up in the ownership category is fee simple absolute. Sometimes you'll hear it just called fee simple. Now, this is the ultimate goal. When you buy your absolute dream home, pay off the mortgage, hold the deed in your hand, you own the house, the land, and every single right associated with it, with absolutely zero strings attached. It's the highest, most complete, and honestly the most common form of property ownership. You can sell it, leave it to your kids, or just do whatever you want with it, as long as it's legal, of course.
Next, we've got fee simple defeasible. And this one brilliantly illustrates that concept of strings-attached ownership. The word defeasible literally means capable of being defeated or voided. Think of it like this. Let's say you deed a gorgeous piece of land to your local town with one strict condition. It must only be used as a public park. Well, if 10 years later the town decides to pave it over and build a giant shopping mall, they've violated your condition. Because it's a defeasible estate, their ownership is completely defeated and that land legally reverts right back to you or your heirs.
The third flavor here is the life estate. This is ownership that's entirely limited to the duration of someone's natural life. For example, say you buy a house and give it to your elderly mother to live in for the rest of her life. She becomes the life tenant. She owns it while she's breathing. But you have to specify exactly where that property goes when she passes away. If you set it up so that upon her passing the house goes to your children, your kids hold what's called an estate in remainder. They're essentially third parties waiting in the wings. But if you set it up so the house comes right back to you, the original owner, well then you hold an estate in reversion. It reverts right back to the start.
All right, Section 3, the 4 leasehold estates.
So let's look at the 4 key tenancies on the renting side of things. First up, the estate for years. Now, do not let the name trick you. A short 3-month summer rental is actually an estate for years because it has a fixed start and end date. It ends automatically on that exact end date. Next is the periodic tenancy. This is your classic month-to-month or week-to-week lease. It just automatically renews each period until someone gives proper legal notice. Third, we have the tenancy at will. This one is totally informal, with no fixed term at all. Think of letting your buddy crash on your couch indefinitely. Either party can end it at will, just by giving notice. And finally, tenancy at sufferance. The key word here is suffer. This happens when a legal tenant's lease expires, but they flat out refuse to move out. They're holding over without consent, and it only ends with an eviction or a formal agreement for a brand new lease.
Section 4, co-ownership and PIT.
Let's compare 2 major types of co-ownership. Over on the left, we have tenancy in common. This is your standard default if you buy a house with a friend, a business partner, or maybe a sibling. You can actually own unequal shares here. Say you own 60% and your partner owns 40%. The biggest feature you need to know is that if you die, your 60% share goes to your heirs, like your kids, not to your business partner. Okay, now look at the right side, tenancy by the entireties. This form of co-ownership is exclusively and strictly reserved for legally married couples. In the eyes of the law, the marriage itself is viewed as a single, indivisible entity holding the property. So if one spouse passes away, their share doesn't go to probate. It automatically, instantly transfers to the surviving spouse.
But hey, what if you aren't married to your co-buyer, but you still really want that automatic right of survivorship? Like, say, two unmarried sisters buying a home together who want the surviving sister to automatically get the whole house. To do that, you'd use a joint tenancy. But be careful, joint tenancy is fragile. To create it, you have to perfectly align 4 specific legal unities. You absolutely must memorize the acronym PIT for the exam. Let's break it down. P stands for possession. Both owners have an undivided right to enjoy the whole property. I stands for interest. They must own completely equal shares, 50-50. No 60-40 splits allowed here. T stands for time. They have to acquire their ownership at the exact same time. And the last T stands for title. They must be named on the exact same deed. Possession, interest, time, title. P-I-T-T. If any single one of those is missing, you don't have a joint tenancy. It just defaults right back to a tenancy in common.
Okay, Section 5, Rapid Review Matching Quiz.
Let's see how much of this mental map actually stuck. Take a second, read this question, and lock in an answer in your head. Ready?
The answer is an estate for years. Remember, despite that kind of confusing name, even a strict 6-month lease with a hard beginning and end date is categorized as an estate for years because the time frame is definitively fixed.
Next up, think back to the rules of concurrent ownership we just talked about. Got it?
It's tenancy by the entireties. The state literally views the marriage as a single entity, meaning both spouses own 100% of the property together, which ensures a seamless transfer if one passes away.
Question 3. See if you can rattle off all 4 words for this acronym right now.
They stand for possession, interest, time, and title. All 4 of these unities must be perfectly aligned at the exact moment of purchase to create a valid joint tenancy with that right of survivorship.
Last one. Think carefully about the direction the property is moving once the life tenant passes away. The answer is a reversion. The property is quite literally reverting backward to the original owner who granted it. If it were moving forward to a brand new third party, like say a grandchild, well, that would be an estate in remainder.
Great job. By translating all this dense legal jargon into actual real-world examples, we've just mapped out a massive 8% of your real estate exam syllabus. You now have a super clear mental framework for the differences between owning and renting, the distinct flavors of those estates, and the rules of co-ownership. As you continue to prep for exam day, I want to leave you with this final thought. Beyond just checking the right box and passing a multiple-choice test, how will mastering these distinct property rights make you a far more competent, confident, and protective real estate agent for your future clients? Because at the end of the day, knowing exactly what someone is buying or renting is the absolute foundation of your real estate career. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, happy studying!